Here we are. Emor we did last week. Behar bechukotai. Okay. Here. So we have the mitzvah of Shemitah. That was a very, very important element in the life of the Jewish people in the land of Eretz Israel. Everybody knows what is the mitzvah of Shemitah about. What is Shemitah? That what?
Working the land in the 7th year.
The land on the 7th year, which means that first of all we have to remember that Israeli society was, in its majority, not all of it, was an agricultural society. Everybody worked it. That was their way of livelihood. Sorry. So that going to work was going to the field and work my land. The main activity on the day of a person was my fields, checking my crops, seeing if we're going to have enough food for this year, seeing how much extra I have, see how much I'm going to sell. And it started, let's say, at 4 a.m. You know, the farmers have to work very early. They work their land, and it's a very intense activity. And you put all your neshama, you plant the seed, and you water it, and you work the land, and you are praying for rain, and you are so dependent on that crop, on that tevuah to grow and to be successful. So imagine you are working year after year, and 1 year it comes out good, other year doesn't come out so good. But here is the Torah telling the farmer, okay, whenever you get to the 6th year, after it, you know that the next one, the 7th year, you are not going to take care of your land at all. You are just going to sit and let it be. It doesn't matter how much you invested, how much it was successful, how good it was, how bad it was. This is what the Torah is telling us that has to happen on the 7th year. I'm going to read a little bit of the psukim so we get a taste of it. We're going to speak about, first of all, the Shemitah for us is going to be this year in September. Like the new Shemitah year is going to start in September. So Israeli society is divided into, I would say, 3 groups. One group that doesn't care about it, the non-observant, the secular, and 2 groups that care a lot about it, but they follow Shemitah in 2 different ways. Some will follow according to the Torah. I cannot use any of the produce of the land of Israel, and then they end up buying the produce from Arabs, because if it has been how you say, when the produce is coming from Yehudim, it means that it didn't keep Shemitah, so I cannot eat from it. But there is another group also of observant Jews that they base themselves in the rulings of Rabbi Israel Cohen Cook. Rabbi Cook was one of the chief rabbis of Israel. But in that moment, he realized that the reality of Israel couldn't be that nobody works the land, and things are different nowadays. They were just beginning, etc. So what they does something called heter mechila, which means that the land is sold to the Arab, the same way we do with something similar we do with chametz, right? That you sell the chametz, so it does not belong to you. So I sell my land. I don't know exactly the details. I'm just saying the idea in general. I hope I'm not making any mistake when I'm telling this to you, but the land is kind of sold. Then you can use it because it's not a Jewish land. So this no, to them. I don't know exactly how it's done, and some don't trust this, and others don't like this because you are, instead of supporting the Israeli farmers, you are supporting the Arab farmers when you go by the conventional Shemitah way.
So how does Shemitah fall on everyone? Because maybe I work like months during this year, somebody else
It goes for everyone. It goes for everyone. It's about the land. That's why I was reading one essay that said how mitzvah Shemitah has a national connotation and an individual connotation. It has to do with the land of Eretz Israel, the counting of the years, and that the land needs to rest and how it goes. But it's something that happens in a personal level. Like everyone is doing that with their land, with their fruits, etc., etc. You wanted to ask?
No, I was going to ask the same thing. Can't you have different Shemitah years?
Okay. Very good. So let's read a little bit in the Psukim. Hashem spoke to Moshe, page 697, on Mount Sinai, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I give you, the land shall observe a Shabbat, rest for Hashem. For 6 years you may sow your field, for 6 years you may prune your vineyard, and you may gather in its crop. But the 7th year shall be a complete rest for the land, you see, for the land, for Eretz Israel. A Shabbat for Hashem. Your field you shall not sow, your vineyard you shall not prune. The aftergrowth of your harvest you shall not reap, and the grapes you had set aside for yourself you shall not pick. It shall be a year of rest for the land. The Shabbat produce of the land shall be yours to eat. For you, you can eat from it, but you can eat in the same way that your neighbor can eat from your fruits, that your slave can eat from your food, and the animals can eat from your food. Everyone can eat. Why? Because you're going to open it. It's going to become what in Hebrew we say hefker. Hefker means it's for whoever wants to come and take. The Shabbat produce of the land shall be yours to eat, for you, for your slave, and for your maidservant, and for your laborer, and for your resident who dwell with you, and for your animal, and for the beast that is in your land, that shall all its crop to be eat. Okay? So this is the first mitzvah of the parasha, mitzvah Shemitah. What does it remind us? Shabbat. Shabbat, we work for 6 days, 6 days. For 6 days. On the 7th day, we stop from working. Now the Chafetz Chaim, the rabbi that we read always his teachings on Lashon Hara, he used to say, yes, we don't work on Shabbat, but be very careful that you don't do from your Shabbat a day of just reading the newspaper and reading the news. There is a purpose for this mitzvah that Hashem is telling us, do not work on Shabbat. What is the purpose for it? Get closer to Hashem by what? By increasing and enriching my spirituality. I have to devote this day, instead of being working all the time and taking care of making money, on Shabbat, I kind of put my values on the right order. Hello, we don't live to work. We work to live. Hello, money is not everything. You have a family. Enjoy your family. You have a neshama. Take care of your neshama. It's not only your body. It's not only how much money you make. It's not only how much vacation you take and how many things you purchase. Shabbat is in order to reset our system of values and putting them on the right place. Same way goes with Shemitah. Only that it doesn't only involve me personally, how I feel with my work, it involves the land. The land is supposed to rest. Now, what things can we learn from this? So we said one, we said spiritual growth. What else? What do I need to really work on myself in order to keep this mitzvah of Shemitah? What do I need? Exactly. I need a very high level of emunah, of faith. Do you understand what it means to let go of everything you invested in that piece of land? Imagine in our days, in my business, everything I invested there, I'm supposed to say, in this year, I'm just going to let it. And I'm nervous because perhaps my neighbor is not keeping Shemitah, and he is doing his money, and he's doing double because I'm not working. So imagine how much emunah in Hashem you need to say, I'm not going to work my land. And if everything I invested there is going to get ruined because you need to maintain it. It requires a maintenance. And how am I going to eat? What will I give to my children? What will we eat this year? What will we eat next year? How will I recover from this? Imagine, think about us, how much loss we had this year with COVID. I got today a very interesting inform on Jerusalem, on the city Jerusalem, and he was speaking about the loss in the tourism in this year, like 80% left, or even less, or even more. That hotels were not open and didn't make any. So how do you recover from something like that? We're going to get the answer in our parasha. How do we recover? But we really require a high level of emunah. Okay, so let's say I'm the farmer. I decide to keep Shemitah. So I need a lot of emunah. I need to understand that the purpose of Shemitah is for me to grow spiritually. So then what do I need to do? I need to, learn. The word is learn, but I need to plan. What am I going to do with my time? How am I going to fill this empty space and time that has been created by me not working my land? What do I do? So it required the farmers to make a plan. Perhaps I'm going to learn the Gemara this year, to do the Siyum Gemara or Siyum Mishnayot, or I'm going to study more Torah. I'm going to teach my children all what I couldn't teach them before. And the house becomes like a Bet Midrash. Either you study at home or you go to the Bet Midrash, but it really switched the way of living of the inhabitants of Israel. So this is the first mitzvah. The second mitzvah that comes here is you shall count for yourself 7 cycles. I'm on Pasuk 8 on page 697, which is Perek 25 in Parashat Behar. You shall count for yourself 7 cycles of sabbatical years, 7 years, 7 times. The years of the 7 cycles of sabbatical year shall be for you 49 years. You shall sound a broken blast on the shofar in the 7th month, on the 10th of the month. On the day of atonement, you shall sound the shofar throughout your land. You shall sanctify the 50th year and proclaim freedom throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be the Jubilee year for you. You shall return each man to his ancestral heritage, and you shall return each man to his family. It shall be a Jubilee year for you this 50th year. You shall not sow, you shall not harvest its aftergrowth, and you shall not pick what was set aside of it for yourself. For it is a Jubilee year, it shall be holy to you. From the field you may eat its crop. In its Jubilee year, you shall return each man to his ancestral heritage. So we're speaking about the mitzvah of, in Hebrew you say, how you call this year? The Yovel. What is the Yovel? The year, what number of year? 50. Okay, so let's think. How is the Torah describing it? The Shnata Yovel, the Jubilee year, it's coming after how many cycles of Shemitah? 7 cycles. So it's like this. You keep Shemitah, 7 years. Count again, 6 years, 7th Shemitah. Count again, 6 years, 7th Shemitah. Count again, and then you get to the 6th one. 6 years, 7th year Shemitah. Next year, Yovel, which means 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, you are not allowed to work your land. How do you do that? How will they be able to survive this? That's first question. Second, what other things happen in that year? You let go of your slaves. Yes, they are free. Okay, they get their freedom. And one more thing, the lands. Okay, you have to see how does ownership of land happen in Israeli society? At the beginning, how did they get the land? By the tribes, right? When Joshua enters the land, the Eretz Israel, by Hashem's command and by Agoral, they make like a lottery. The land is divided into tribes. Every tribe has their spot. It's very interesting subject just to go and study it and find it. Even in Wikipedia, you can find what each tribe receives, etc. Then every tribe has their land. Then inside the tribe, the land is divided also by families. So each family has their own land. What happened? The idea is that the land stays in the family. But sometimes a family would go down, their financial situation would deteriorate, they would go bankruptcy, they wouldn't be able to hold on the land, so they have to sell their land. Now, Hashem is saying, לא תימכר הארץ לצמיתות, I don't allow you to sell the land forever. The land is going to be sold, but whenever it's Yovel, it's going to come back to the family. Of course, it affected the price of the land. So instead of the selling of the land, we would call it a listing of the land. Because if it's 5 years before the next Yovel, and I'm buying a land, I know that that land will be to my use only for 5 years. So the price of that land is absolutely different to the price of a land that I buy the year after the Yovel. Because the year after the Yovel, I know I'm going to enjoy that land for 49 years. So the value was according to that. And the Torah is telling us, we're not going to have the time to go through all the psukim, but the Torah is telling us about the value of the land has to be according to its value. The same way goes for a slave. I remind all of us you're going to tell us actually, what were the circumstances for the Hebrew slave? Okay, either the Bedin sells a person. Why? Because I stole $2 million. I enjoyed them. I partied with them. Now they catch me. I need to return that money. I don't have that money. So they will sell me to work. And the money, the salary that was supposed to be paid to me is going to go to the person that I stole from. So that's one situation. The other situation of having a Jewish person slave is when the Jewish person sold himself for indenture work. What does it mean? I don't have what to eat. I don't have where to live. My situation is so bad that I don't want to be in the street. So I go to the Bedin, please look for a good family for me, and they will purchase me in a way. They're going to give me where to live. They're going to give me security, and in exchange for that, I'm going to work for them. But I'm their slave. I don't have the freedom tomorrow to say I'm leaving. This is part of the deal. Now the Torah is telling us whenever it's Yovel, everybody is going to go free. Okay. What else can we see from this parasha? Go to
Wait, sorry, Ms. Budon.
Yes.
So let's say if that person stole the $2 million that you said, and there's only 1 year left to the Yovel, that means
Yes.
that regardless of how much you owe, you just.
I was thinking about it while I was
So then
speaking.
you may want to think about stealing like a few months before the Yovel, and then just go
Listen,
free.
I was thinking about the same. I really don't know. I really don't know how it was done. I don't know. But yes, perhaps there is a limit of how much a person can return. I don't know what other punishment the Bedin would take care. I suppose the Bedin had to take care of society not doing that again, but I don't know how it was done. Yes.
These laws are for Jewish people in general. So if there's a Jewish person in America.
Oh, thank you so much. That's one of the first details I should have said. The mitzvah of Shemitah happens only in Eretz Israel. Only. That's mitzvah. We say in Hebrew, mitzvot hatluyot ba'aretz. The mitzvot that depend on the land. Another thing.
It's to preserve the land of Israel. So
it's only in the land of Israel. No. We don't do it here. We care here if we get fruits from Eretz Israel. Like, a fruit and a vegetables is always kosher. I don't need kashrut for a tomato or for a pepper. But whenever they come from Eretz Israel, I need to pay attention. I need certain levels of kashrut. I need to know that the mitzvot that were supposed to be done in the land have been done. For example, Ma'asrot, which is taking and giving to the Kohen, to the Levi, or Shemitah. Now, besides of that, from the Torah, Shemitah is mandatory only when? When all, I am not sure if it's all or most. Here I'm a little bit in doubt. But I say all of the people of Israel live in the land of Israel. Okay? The day that we all make Aliyah, all of American Jewry, it's going to be already most of the Jewish people living in Israel, right? So when most of the people are in Israel, I think it's Rov. When they're in Israel, then it's a mitzvah deoraita from the Torah. Then Rabbi Cook or whoever cannot come with an idea, let's sell the land, or let's do this, or let's do that. They can come with some solutions or some other ways of doing it, because the mitzvah is rabbinical, the Rabbanan. According to the Torah, you don't have to do it. That's why you have some leniencies on doing it in a different way. Is that clear?
But I have a couple of
Let me just add one sentence.
Do have.
According to the Torah, you don't have to do it today, because our situation in Eretz Israel is that all the nation is not living in Eretz Israel. Huh? That's the perush that Chachamim will give it. For example, I didn't bring that book with me. There is a book in my Chumash at home that I prepared the class. I have at the end of the Chumash, Sefer HaChinuch. Sefer HaChinuch is a book that enumerates the mitzvot and explains all of them. So here he will say, this is a mitzvah that is only in Eretz Israel, and whenever everybody is living there, whatever are the conditions. Today, it applies from Chachamim. Chachamim will say, yes, we still do it. We still do it. Also, Afrashat Chala. Okay, let me give you an example that everyone relates to it. Afrashat Chala. Do we do Afrashat Chala?
Yeah.
Yes. Afrashat Chala applies only from the Torah, only in Eretz Israel, only when we have Bet HaMikdash, we have Kohanim, only when all of us are in Eretz Israel. But what? The Rabbanan, Chachamim say, no, we are going to still do it here while we are in Eretz Israel. And they said, also Jews in Chutz La'aretz should do it so they get the practice and they get accustomed to do it. So when they come to Eretz Israel, they will be able to give it to the Kohen.
That little piece of challah even doesn't cost much. But if you have to not work your land for 2 years, when you don't have to, then it wouldn't make sense for you to do the mitzvah if it's not.
Wait. Okay, I have to clarify something. It's very important. When I bring a mitzvah from the level of Deoraita to the level of Rabbanan, it doesn't make it not important. Just for you to know, most of the halacha that we all keep is the Rabbanan, not Deoraita. Most of the kashrut that we're so strict with it is the Rabbanan, not Deoraita. What is the difference when a mitzvah is Deoraita or the Rabbanan? Deoraita means from the Torah, the Rabbanan means rabbinical. The difference happens, for example, if I have a safek, if I have a doubt, should we do this or should we do that? If it's Deoraita, if it's from the Torah, I will go with the most strict opinion because I'm always most careful. If it's from Chachamim, I can be lenient. Same way, if I have a safek, did I do it or I didn't do it? Let's say, did I say bracha or I didn't say bracha? If it's Deoraita, if it's from the Torah, I will have to do it no matter what. If it's from Chachamim, I say, no, so don't do it. For example, we don't say bracha on things if we have a doubt, if we already said the bracha before. Let's say you're about to eat an apple. It's your second piece, and then you are, wow, I don't remember. Did I say bracha or I didn't say bracha? You will not say the bracha. Why? This is an interesting idea for more time. Why? Because from the Torah, I have a prohibition not to say the name of Hashem in vain. From Chachamim, rabbinical, I have an obligation to say brachot when I eat something. So now if I have the Torah against Chachamim, the Torah is more important. So he said, do not say my name in vain. So I will not say a bracha in case I already said it, and then I'm going to just say the name of Hashem in vain. So when I say it's rabbinical, it doesn't mean it's not important to keep it. It means if we are a little bit more lenient, or if there is a machloket, you can go with the most lenient opinion. So that's how it's measured. Now you told me this is expensive, this is not expensive. I don't know. Do we decide to keep mitzvot whenever it doesn't cost us money?
But I'm just saying that if they tell you, for example, today this law doesn't apply to you, because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, then why do we have to do it?
No, because our system of law is legislated by the Bedin of Chachamim, not by the rabbis today. There is a Bedin of Chachamim. We don't have a Bedin anymore. Perhaps today a Bedin, you know what is a Bedin? You have to have, we need a Bedin, because a Bedin is 71 rabbis that we all agree on them, and then they will be able to decide on certain laws. But in the law of the Shemitah, it was already decided that we do it, even that all of Israel is not in the land of Israel. But actually, it makes so much sense. We are aspiring that our presence in the land of Israel is going to keep advancing to the total redemption, to the total Geulah. where everybody slowly is making aliyah, where soon we're going to have the Bet HaMikdash. Mashiach will come. So we are preparing ourselves. We want to relate to the land of Israel with the Kedusha that the Torah is giving us. We're not just living there, today we're in Israel, tomorrow we'll go to America, and then perhaps here. We want this to become our permanent place for the people of Israel. So this is rabbinical and it's mandatory, but the laws change a little bit. Now, let me just show you how in our own parasha, look on page 700, Perek Kaf Hei Pasuk Kaf. Look how beautiful it is. Sorry, go a little bit backwards. Pasuk 18. Okay. You shall perform my decrees and observe my ordinances and perform them. Then you shall dwell securely on the land. The land will give its fruit, and you will eat your fill. You will dwell securely upon it. If you will say, let's say you ask yourself, what will we eat in the 7th year? How are we going to do this, Shemitah? Behold, we will not sow and not gather in our crops. Hashem is answering. This is the question. What will we eat if I'm not planting, I'm not sowing, I'm not gathering my crops? Hashem is answering. I will ordain my blessing for you in the 6th year, and it will yield a crop sufficient for the 3-year period. You will sow in the 8th year, but you will eat from the old crop until the 9th year, until the arrival of its crop. You will eat the old. Hashem is saying, whenever you follow my mitzvot, whenever you deserve that I'm with you, I will give you the bracha that in the 6th year, you're going to have so much. It's going to be so abundant that you will eat from it on the 7th, on the 8th, till the 9th. So the farmer of Eretz Israel, whenever we are behaving, could already see that on the 6th year, before he's keeping the Shemitah. He saw the bracha already happening then. So he says, wow, Hashem, I'm doing it so happily and so with so much trust. I see the bracha that you are giving me. So the Torah is saying it, like imagine the Torah is written by a human being who could take this type of risk to make this type of promise. Only Hashem, that is the master of the universe and owns everything, can assure to us that this is the bracha that the Torah is going to give us. Let's go to Pasuk Lamed Hey 35, another mitzvah. I am skipping some details of what happens whenever the land that is sold is inside, how you say, chomot, the walls or not, but or the arim of the cities of the Leviim, things that can be sold forever or not, but I'm skipping that. I'm on Pasuk 35. V'chiyamuch achicha, and if your brother becomes impoverished, umatay yado imach, and his means falter in your proximity, v'chezakta bo ger v'toshav v'chai imach. You shall strengthen him, proselyte or resident, so that he can live with you. The Torah is telling me here, okay, yes, somebody impoverished and had to sell himself as a slave, or had to sell his land. The Torah is giving us a very important tip here. When you see that any of your brothers, any of your fellow Jews is falling in between the cracks, it's starting to be in a bad financial situation, don't wait until he falls. The Torah is giving us a mitzvah. You should prevent him from falling. You should do something to support that person, and then he doesn't have to end up selling himself as a slave. He shouldn't have to end up selling his property. Perhaps with a little bit of help, we are going to help him stand up on his feet. I remember last year, I was listening last year to Sivan Raf's Meir Shiur, and she said there, I don't know from where she took it, that we could apply this to any other category in life, not only financial. Like you see somebody that is, let's say, I don't know, somebody that is going into a very emotional, bad state of mind because of circumstances of life. you can just let that person, and he or she is going to continue going down and down and down and fall. Or we can try to do something, cheer that person up, invite that person over, and let's go together outside. Let me recommend you this doctor. Let's do this. And then you are helping that person not to fall till the abysm. Or I was thinking about a student. Imagine a student that is having challenges in certain subject at school, a friend of your son or your daughter, and your son or your daughter is very sensitive, and he sees how that student was okay, but this last test wasn't good, and you feel that he doesn't know what's going on in the class. So invite him over. Do you want me to help you in math? I explain you the lesson, and I help you stand. Even it could be a friend or the same teacher. If the teacher is able to identify the student that is not doing so well and bring, you know what, sit with me in the recess, and I'm going to explain you this class. To explain one class, it's so much easier to stand up later than whenever you lose I remember myself in certain subjects that you start losing it and then you give up. I'm not going to pay attention anymore because I don't get it at all. But if you catch it, if you catch that at the beginning, if you catch that person that financially is going down at the beginning, if you catch that person that is getting depressed at the beginning, or that couple that are having shalom bait issues at the beginning, and you help them and you support them, perhaps you can help them, while if they go much lower, it's lost. There is nothing you can do. Sometimes I know personally there is people around us, and when you want to help, it's too late. How did we let this get to this point? So this is the idea of what this mitzvah is telling us. Rashi, whoever knows the Hebrew will enjoy this. Look at what Rashi says on Pasuk Lamed Hey. Yes. Vechezaktabo. Do you see it? You see it? Whoever wants to follow the Rashi. Al tenicheu sheyered veipol veye kashe leakimo. Don't let him to go down and to fall in a way that is going to be very difficult to bring him up. Ela, but haskeu, give him strength. Mishaat mutat hayat, from the moment he's about to fall. Lemaz domain, he brings an example. To what is this similar? Lemasaoi she'al hachamor, to some burden, or I would say cargo that there is on top of the donkey, right? Odeu al hachamor, echad tofes bo uma'amido. So let's say the donkey is about to fall. It's very, or the cargo is about to fall. While it's still on the donkey, it's much easier to catch it and to make it stand. But once nafal la'aretz, when it falls to the land, chamisha en ma'amidim oto. 5 people won't be able to make this donkey stand. You know, it's very difficult because once it falls, the effort that you need to help him is much bigger. Okay, and then he continues with something else. And the next pasuk Vav and Zain, are going to speak about ribit. Ribit is taking interest when you make a loan. In this situation, whenever I'm not going to get into the details, the Talmud and the poskim, the legislators bring I don't know if tens or hundreds of details of how to keep the mitzvah of ribit, of not taking interest when you give money. When you loan, you give money. So, but what the pasuk here refers is for really a person that needs the money to eat, to live. So imagine I am in a desperate situation and I ask from you $100 to survive it, and then you say, yeah, but next month you have to give me 110. From where will I be able? Instead of helping me, you are making me fall even deeper. Of course, today we know that with the bank things change, but that's because it was done more for business and not for survival. But that's not going to be our subject. Just to touch a little bit on the next parasha. And do you want Pirkei Avot or with?
Yes.
So you see, you want Pirkei Avot. I should have done only Pirkei Avot. last year in quarantine, we did 2 classes in the week, one of Parashah and one of Pirkei Avot. But I was afraid you will not come. I didn't want to stay alone here. That's why I did both of them together. So just for you to know. Next parasha, Parashat Bechukotai. Last parasha of the book of Vaikra. This parasha speaks about what will happen when you keep my chukim, my im bechukotai telechu. If you follow my chukim, what will happen to you? And then we have the first, how many psukim? The first, 11, 13 psukim. The first 13 psukim of the parasha are about the berachot that Hashem will bring to us if we keep His Torah. And it's beautiful. It's you will have a rain, prosperity, peace inside, internal peace, peace with the enemies. You are going to be so successful if you have enemies that 5 of you are going to be able to defeat thousands, the same way that happened in our wars, actually. Sheshet Hayamim, we have miracles like this. And I am going, the end of the bracha, so beautiful, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel, on page 711. I will walk among you. I will be God into you, and you will be a people to me. The best bracha of it is that our relationship is going to be flourishing. I will be with you. You will be with me. I'm Hashem, your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt from being the slave. This is the bracha. Then the Torah is about to speak about what will happen if you will not listen to me and will not perform all of these commandments. If you consider my decrees loathsome, if you being rejects my ordinances so as not to perform all my commandments, so that you annul my covenant, they will do the same to you. If you reject my covenant, if you look down at what I give you, I will do the same to you. It sounds like, yeah, you are like this to me, I'm going to be like this to you. And then the Torah is bringing a list of klalot that is a little bit scary to even read them. Some of them, the language even reminds us of what happened last week. Like, you're going to run away without having anybody running after you. And you're going, when you read it, you will see it.
I heard that if it's a bar mitzvah parsha, they tell the boys not to read.
Okay, so that's very interesting what you are saying. They tell the boy not to read, but there are opinions like Maimonides, Rambam says, in some synagogues, they try to read it very low and fast. He said, we should read it with loud voice and without fear. It doesn't say anything in regards to the reader. It's for the tzibur, for all of us to listen and to get the musar, the warnings that Hashem is giving us, so then we will behave as we shall behave. Sorry, I really got distracted because my idea to start the class today was, and I am doing this shiur in the memory of the 45 people that passed away in Hebron, in Meron, sorry. I was so distracted because it takes us a long time until we get to the class. I'm stressed to begin, and I even forgot to mention him. I get a daily column from Sivan Rav Meir, and she's writing, I have to do this because I think you will benefit from this. She's writing about how was it to visit Nichum Avelim, to visit the people that were in Avelut. By the way, Israel has published the 45 names with their address next to it. So where the family is sitting Shiva, and thousands of people in Am Israel are coming and visiting. Thousands. And Sivan was saying, every house of mourning became a center of Torah, of Chizuk, of Kiruv. People are coming and you're learning when you come there. You came to give Nichum, but you got out strong from listening, from reading, from listening who these people that passed away were. Let me just give you a little bit of what she writes. Side by side with the political drama, another drama is taking place in Israel, in 45 homes of families that are in mourning throughout the country. Thousands are visiting these families every day, not only to pay a Shiva call, but to get to know one another and talk for the first time. How embarrassing, said one person. Only because of a catastrophe like this, am I entering the house of a Haredi family for the first time? And he gets the answer. It's not pleasant to admit, she heard in reply, but only because of a catastrophe like this are we hosting secular people in our home for the first time. This is bringing unity, achdut, the ability to see the other. Before you accept the other, you need to see him. We don't want to see, we just have these preconceptions and that's it. She says, Sivan Ravmi, I arrived at the home of the Zebach family in Bnei Brak. 24 years old Menachem left behind his wife Racheli, 7 months pregnant, and a little daughter. Racheli showed me a Birkat Hamazon, blessing after eating bread, that they had printed in her husband's memory in a convenient pocket-sized format. She says, we printed 3,000 copies and they're already gone. Who could have imagined that this many people could have come? Thousands, 3,000. A young man came and said that he did not turn on television this last Shabbat or go to the internet. Why? And he is not observant, but this Shabbat he decided not to watch TV, not to open the internet. He says, I knew that I would see their pictures, the pictures of the 45 victims, and I knew they would not want that. So I didn't want to see them on Shabbat. He told the Zebach family that he connected in particular with the face of Menachem, and therefore he felt the need to come to visit them. It was not easy to see for long since people kept arriving and we are just standing at the entrance. Please get up, a family relative who was managing the gathering would say every now and then, make place for Am Israel that was coming. And she tells much more. She's told how the kitchen is full of food and gifts from every single organization in Israel, from Tnuba, from Tara, from this, and from personal families. A lot of achdut, of unity. We needed to learn to express the unity in good times, not wait for tragedies. So I'm sorry I did it in the middle of the studying, but I really, my intention was to dedicate this shiur Leilui Nishmatam of these 45 Kedoshim that lost their lives last week in Meron. Let me just show you one pasuk that connects with the other parasha in the Klalot, and here we are going to go to Pirkei Avot, pasuk 34 and 34. After on pasuk 33, one of the curses on page 715, one of the curses says, and you, I will scatter among the nations. I will unsheath the sword after you. Your land will be desolate, and your cities will be a ruin. Then the land will be appeased for its sabbaticals during all the years of its desolations, while you are in the land of your foes. Then the land will rest, and it will appease for its sabbaticals. All the years of its desolation, it will rest, whatever it did not rest during the sabbaticals when you dwelled upon her. Hashem is telling us, you didn't keep Shemitah, you didn't give the land what she deserved. The land, Eretz Israel, the land that I'm giving you, I promised to that land that she's going to rest every 70 years. You didn't give it that rest, right? So Hashem is telling us, I'm going to expel you. The land is going to be empty, and she's going to be compensated. The land is going to be compensated for all those years that you did not keep the Shemitah. But many Mefarshim see in the Klalot, in between these terrible, difficult words, many words of Nechama as well, of consolation. For example, the fact that the land is going to be empty, we know that was a bracha for us. We know that every nation that tried to come to settle in Eretz Israel wasn't able to do that. They were not able to plan, they were not able to make the land flourish, the land would not respond to them. We also have this beautiful relationship with Eretz Israel. She will only answer to us. And in a miraculous way, when we came back, we started to see the flourishing and all the beautiful thing, beautiful flowers and fruits and all the bracha that we have. I finish with this. Even when Hashem is going to punish us, is going to expel us, we're going to be in between the goyim. Look on pasuk 42 on page 717. I will remember my covenant with Yaakov, and also my covenant with Yitzchak, and also my covenant with Abraham, will I remember, and I will remember the land will be bereft of them, and it will appear, no, this I already read, but despite all of this, Pasuk 44, while they will be in the land of their enemies, I will not have been revolted by them, nor will I have rejected them to obliterate them, to annul my covenant with them, for I am Hashem their God. I will remember for them the covenant of the ancients, those whom I have taken out of the land of Egypt for the eyes of the nations to be God into them. I am Hashem. Hashem is telling us, yes, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to expel you. You're going to go to diaspora, but I'm not going to really reject you. I'm not going to be disgusted by you, like to forget you. I will still remember you and the pact that I have with your forefathers. And we know Hashem punishes us for us to learn, but his pact, his covenant with us is eternal, and he will bring us back to Eretz Israel. Chazak, chazak, benit chazek. These are the two last parashiot of the book of Vayikra. Now, in Pirkei Avot, I am sorry that I'm so late with Pirkei Avot. Let me see, I didn't bring my book, but we have Pirkei Avot. You can check in the Sefaria if you want. Sefaria.org, you have their Mishnah, then from Mishnah you go to Nezakim to Pirkei Avot, and then the chapter we're going to see now is chapter Hey, the 5th chapter. How many more? We have this Shabbat, and then next week is the week before Shavuot, right? So that's why we're reading the 5th chapter. 5th chapter of Pirkei Avot starts in a very interesting way. It starts bringing us number of things. Starts with number 10, then with number 7, then with number 4, and it's speaking, and then different Mishnayot. Again, I invite everybody to join us in Shabbat. We're going to continue studying Pirkei Avot. It's not going to be in Zoom. It's not going to be recorded. But the first Mishnah and the second and the third speak about the number 10. For example, in the creation of the world, 10 times there is the word Yehi, this, let this be. The creation happens with 10 sayings, 10 statements. And the Mishnah says, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't just say, let it be the world? In one time, Hashem could have done that, but he says it in 10 times. He says, why? To give merit and reward to all of those that maintain the world. So you are kind of maintaining 10 times 10 different things, and to punish 10 times those that do not maintain the world, which means that they destroy the world with their actions. I just say it as an interesting point. I'm not going deep into that. There is another Mishnah that speaks about 10 generations from Adam Rishon till Noah, 10 generations from Noah to Avraham Avinu. Then there is another one that says 10 times HaKadosh Baruch Hu tested Abraham. And it's interesting, one year we can do that, going into the 10 tests that Hashem tested Abraham and checking which one are they. 10 times, there is another Mishnah that says, 10 times Am Israel tested Hashem in the desert. Like every time we complain, we want water, we want this, that was test that we're doing to Hashem. What are the things we have with the name 10? The 10 commandments, the 10 miracles that happened to Am Israel whenever we had the Bet HaMikdash. And for example, it says there that there were no bags. You know, the Bet HaMikdash with the korbanot it was like a butcher place. You have meat, you do shchita, there is blood, and there were no blood. No, there were no bags. That's a miracle. Or the meat did not smell bad. Sometimes you needed to leave the korban for 2 days, and there was no bad smell. A woman never had a miscarriage even from the bad smell yes. 10 makot is another one. Exactly. You are following the Mishnah? Okay, you remember that. It's beautiful. So it's a very interesting thing to do. Now I'm going to show you the number 7. The number 7 is on Mishnah 7. Huh? Was 7? Yes. There are 7 characteristics in a golem. It's in Hebrew. And here the translation says Claude. You know what is a Claude? Okay. I will explain now. And 7 in a wise man. The Mishnah is bringing a wise man against a Claude. A Claude is a person, explains Harambam, Maimonides, that has some wisdom, some education, but it's still not enough for it to form him. It's like a golem. What is a golem? A golem is like when you are making a statue and it's still not finished. You need to what is the word? To improve the shape of this golem. Is not so educated. You have some wisdom, but not enough. So this Mishnah is going to explain to us what are the differences between somebody that is a chacham, a wise man, and somebody that is a klod, that is a golem. So I would call this Mishnah a Mishnah for, in English, in Hebrew, Tarbut Hadibur, and for us in English, I would call the Mishnah a Mishnah that teaches us rules of right communication, how to communicate with each other, how to have a conversation, and see how you relate to this. So it's going to speak about 7 things, right? 7 differences between the Chacham and the Golem and the Klod. I never heard this word before. So number 1, a wise man does not speak before one who is greater than he in wisdom. Now, we're not speaking about a student and a teacher in a class that the student needs to be quiet. We're speaking about there is a discussion here. Imagine I'm standing in front of, I don't know, give me a name of a very... Mr. Nassim Basalian, yes, but I wanted to go, okay, so Talmid Chacham. I wanted to go into somebody in a specific area of knowledge, of medicine or science. I don't want to speak with him about relationships. Right. So somebody that is very high in business or in science or in medicine, I'm not going to come to discuss with him about the cure for the cancer. What am I going to... Einstein, what am I going to speak with him? Like I am smart, I am wise enough, I should, to know that it's not my play. I'm not in the level of that person to have a discussion. The opposite. What do I need to do? Listen, be quiet and listen. So a wise man does not speak before one who is greater than he in wisdom. Of course, this Mishnah is written mainly and especially for Talmidei Chachamim. Talmidei Chachamim, you know, they used to have these machlokot, these discussions. But whenever you are in front of one that is higher than you, be quiet and listen, because all the Torah study has the goal for me to learn more. I want to learn. So if I'm going to waste the time discussing without me having the knowledge, I'm going to waste an amazing opportunity to learn from the one that knows more than me. Okay, the second one, and does not break into his fellow speech. Like a person is speaking, do not interrupt. I personally feel that this speaks a lot to us women. I don't know if it's me that I have that feeling, but we tend to be a little bit more impulsive in the area of conversation, and we know it all, and especially whenever it's with our spouse. We're so good, really, we're so good in knowing the other person and having the empathy to understand their feelings and what they're going to say already, that we don't have the patience to listen, because I know what you're going to say, so I will come and I will interrupt. And it kills them. And I really say it from a place of listening many occasions to men when they complain about problems in communication with their spouse. I can never talk. She doesn't let me talk. I cannot say a sentence without her interrupting me. I cannot say an idea without her bringing an idea that she thinks that is better. So he says here, whoever is intelligent, wise, do not break into his fellow speech. And is not hasty to answer. They ask you a question, don't be impulsive on answering. Think. Like the wise person takes more time in the process of thought than in the bringing out it into words. Think. And then your words are going to be based more in wisdom. when you ask question, he asks what is relevant, and he answers to the point. Like it's not just blah, 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 conversation without direction, but you go by what is relevant and to the point. And whenever he speaks of the, I really think this is for women. He speaks of the first point first and of the last point last, organizes the thoughts. Did you ever hear men complaining that we just bring things, one mix into the other? So the Mishnah is telling us, organize your thoughts before you bring them. And concerning that, the two last to me are the most important. And concerning that which he has not heard, he says, I have not heard. Some of my kids are very funny in the way that whenever they want to show themselves, they do it as a joke. Let's say there is an intelligent conversation and they know how to say a word or a sentence that will make others feel that they know what we're talking about. Yes, of course. And you say something that you make others think that you know. But he says here, no, you have to be able to say, oh, I didn't hear about this. This is not my field of knowledge. I don't know. Now, in this Mishnah, it's very interesting and important to understand that this refers to the rabbis, because do you know how the rabbis were studying in the times of the Mishnah? Did they study from the book? No, they studied, what is the Mishnah? Oral Torah. They studied by heart. And let's say Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would say, and I heard from my teacher, Rabbi Akiva, that he got from his teacher, till Moshe Rabbeinu. There was a tradition in the Torah that was taught. It was very important to base your Torah in the tradition. So it's important in this case to say, oh, I didn't hear. I don't have any tradition on this specific subject. So if I say something, know that it's coming from my own opinion, is not based on tradition. And he acknowledges the truth. He acknowledges whenever we have an argument, and the other person is saying A and I believe B, and he convinces me, I have to be humble enough to acknowledge you are right. And he says, and all the opposite is the cloth, is the one that doesn't have the wisdom. Okay, now I'm stopping here. I'm going to bring one more Mishnah, but everybody that needs to leave, please leave. I'm adding for the time of the class because it's Pirkei Avot. This Mishnah is going to be based on the number 4. So they're going to bring an idea that is based on the number 4. It's Mishnah 11. Thank you for being my co-host. Okay, Mishnah 11. Okay, there are 4 kinds of temperaments. We're going to speak about anger. This Mishnah is on anger management. Like, what do we do when we are angry? So he says there is 4 types of people, the way they act when they're angry. First one, easy to become angry and easy to be appeased. Do you know people like this? That the boom, everything, boom, they explode, but very easily they get appeased. Is that good or bad?
It's bad.
It's bad. Because of the, how you say when it's very often, there is a word. The regularity of it, because it happens so often. Even that is going to be appeased, these are the people that when you are next to them, you walk on shells, because you don't know, every single thing can make them explode. So Chachamim, very sensitive, very, they get hurt for everything. So Chachamim say, his gain disappears in his loss. Even that he's getting appeased easily, that his anger doesn't last for a long time, the fact that it happens so often, the gain is not so valuable, because again, it happens too often. So you have to be so careful from this person. Then the second kind of temperament is a person that is hard to become angry and hard to be appeased. So of course it's not ideal, because he never gets angry, but once he's angry, it's so difficult to make them get appeased. But Chachamim say his loss disappears in his gain. Since he doesn't get angry so often, the fact that it takes him time to get appeased is not so terrible because it happens so sporadically. That is a person that most of the time, most of the hours of the day, most of the days, you can sit next to this person and enjoy and have a pleasant time because it almost doesn't happen that gets angry.
But I think those people are the ones that hold grudges, that they never forget.
It could be, this is not the ideal level. No, it's hard to appease. You can appease, but it's hard. You have to work hard. And actually, it makes sense because if I never get angry for anything, it means that if I got angry, there was a real reason. So this reason requires from the other party, from the other side, to come and appease, to have the apology, to have the understanding why they did this to me. I'm such an easygoing person. I never get angry for anything. I'm always there for others. And suddenly I feel this knife stabbing my back. So for me to stop my anger, I will need to understand why that happened. So again, it's not ideal, but the loss disappears with the game. Third category, hard to become angry, almost never gets angry, and easy to be appeased. How do we call him?
Doesn't exist.
It exists, and I will explain to you why. But they say this is a pious person, a Hasid. Pay attention, the Hasid is not the person that never gets angry. Chachamim understand this is a normal, natural characteristic. All of us can get angry. But if you are a Hasid, you are hard to get angry. Why you are hard to get angry? Because you are humble. Because you don't consider yourself the center of the universe, that everybody have to come and bow down to you. So yeah, you get things, okay, it's okay. So they didn't do what I said. So it's and you're easygoing. But if sometimes you get angry, you're so humble that you will also get appeased easily. So this is the
You just have a
Hasid.
lot of faith in it. So when things happen to you, you just say,
Beautiful.
like, okay, it was meant from Hashem, so who am I to get angry and react?
Beautiful. And this is a very difficult thing to combine the understanding of things the way they happen here. Let's say she did this to me, combined with Hashem is also part of the picture. And if Hashem wants me to go through this difficult moment, it's because it's good for me. Same thing with the things that happen in Meron. Like now in Israel, they're trying to check who is the responsible party, where was negligence, which is important and true. But at the same time, we cannot forget that it is a factor Hashem. I heard from my brother was speaking in the name of another rabbi. He was saying, okay, true. Imagine there was negligence, there was no security, but who decided who is the one that is going to lose his life? Who is the one that is going to be saved? Who is the one that is going to be injured? Of course, Hashem is behind everything. And the last one in the Mishnah is not the best one, it's the worst one. The Mishnah ends saying, easy to become angry and hard to be appeased. This is the wicked person. This is the person that you really walk in shells next to that person because everything makes her get angry. And once he's angry, I'm going to keep the grudge forever and don't you ever dare, etc., etc., etc. So I think that for me, the most important message of this Mishnah is how Chachamim understand that it's normal to get angry. They didn't bring the word never get angry. It's normal to get angry, but we need to work on our character traits to get angry the less possible, not so often, and to work on ourselves to let go after that and to be appeased easily. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
So much.